In lesson number 6, we're going to cover a couple of different things. First of all, we're going to play some of the stuff that we already know, our standard boogie pattern, but faster. Then we're going to introduce the concept of what we call a quick change blues. More about that when we get there. And finally, we're going to play a blues for the first time in a different key than the key of A. So quite a lot to cover in this lesson. But first of all, we can get started quite quickly. Grab your jam track that's called Shuffle Horns. It's a shuffle with a horn section playing on it, that's why it's called that. And it's a 12-bar blues, as we've learnt it, in the key of A, but faster than we played it before. So what you want to do is practice any of your standard boogie patterns, the ones that you've become quite familiar with now. But notice that when we get a bit faster, it can be helpful, instead of picking all downs, to pick some ups as well. So begin to get in the habit of this right hand, still anchored on the bridge of the guitar, rocking backwards and forwards from the wrist. Just grab an A chord at the moment, as we've learnt it so far, and just get used to this feeling. We're going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And it's not surprising that we hear that the down strums accent the 5th string more strongly and the up strums accent the 4th string more strongly. Keep this wrist, the karate chop, not the karate chop, but the heel of your right hand anchored, not firmly, but just lightly. Give it somewhere to rest so that you can rock from the wrist. Don't feel the elbow move, don't feel the forearm move in any way. Just get used to that bounce between the 5th and 4th strings. Once that begins to feel fairly comfortable, add in the boogie pattern. Here we are now playing the blues a little bit faster. You'll notice that there's no tab for this. I've done that deliberately because the left-hand patterns are going to be the same as ones we've already learned, just played a little faster. This is also an exercise in seeing if you can slot into a 12-bar blues without having it written on a piece of paper in front of you. You need to get very familiar with the feeling of playing a 12-bar blues, and here's your first chance to do it. Flying without a safety net. So, good luck. Let's jump into it now. Shuffle horns. 2, 3, 4. Track can carry on, you can keep playing. So that was shuffle horns, and an opportunity to play the boogie woogie a little bit faster, and I'm sure you saw me doing, a few little things that we've looked at before. I think the most common one I was using the standard boogie pattern where the third finger plays on once and off once, off, on, off, on, off. That was my standard pattern. And occasionally I threw in the 5th fret note, remember that one? Notice that I'm just mixing them up in there. Sometimes I also jumped on the A chord to the 3rd string. There! You hear that coming in there too. The next jam track we're going to play over is another fast one, and it's called B.B. King Shuffle. Now, B.B. King Shuffle introduces the idea of a quick change blues, something that we haven't played before. But there's nothing complicated about a quick change blues, except you're going to hear it a lot as you listen to the blues. It's every bit as common as the 12-bar blues we've learned so far, and it just has one small change from the structure of the 12-bar blues as we've learnt it so far. Up to now, the first 4 bars of our 12-bar blues have all been an A. 2, 3, 4, which are very quick change blues, everything is exactly the same except the second bar is a D. And then the third and fourth bars go back to A. So we go A, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, A, 2, 3, 4, A, 2, 3, 4. Everything else in the 12 bar is the same. That's very, very common. You're going to hear it a lot, and it crops up here for the first time on the B.B. King Shuffle. It's not a B.B. King track, it's just in the style of B.B. King, one of his styles. And we're going to play along with that track now because it's good practice for our quicker boogie pattern tempo, and it's good practice for the quick change blues. So remember, this is going to go A to D, then back to A for 2 bars, then it's the normal 12 bar cycle after that. Let's give it a try. 3, 4, 1. D, A, check out at that point, but you feel free to keep on playing. Nothing that we've done so far has been dramatically new, but we've learnt to play down and up with our right hand instead of all down, and we've learned to play a little bit faster, and we've learned this idea of a quick change blues. Now for the first time we're going to play the blues in a different key than the key of A. A very quick word on what a key is. I'm not going to get into detail on this because it gets into the realms of music theory, but for now all you need to know about a key is that it is the home chord of the song, and the home chord of the song is the chord that the song wants to return to. You can feel it pulling like gravity back towards that chord. For example, when we play in our key of A to D, you can feel it moving away. A feels solid and rooted on the ground. We go to D, we've moved away a little bit. If we go to E, we've gone a little further away, and we can hear that chord wanting to come back to A. And when it does, it feels as though it's returned home when it comes back to that chord. Any chord that creates that feeling is the home chord of the song. Up to now we've played in the key of A exclusively, where A has been the home chord. We're now going to play for the first time in a different key, in the key of C. Grab your tab sheet labeled Simple Boogie, New Key. And you're going to see that the first chord at the top of the page on that sheet is the chord of C. But we're going to play our same boogie pattern that we've played before. In the key of A, that was the off, off, on, off, 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 on, off pattern. That's the one we're going to use. But in other keys it's more difficult to play because we need more than one finger to hold the chord shape down. To play C, we need to come way up the neck. Our first finger is going to come to the 8th fret of the 6th string, and the third finger to the 10th fret of the 5th string. Now that's going to be our home chord shape. See if you can just with your right hand play strings 6 and 5. Maybe if you're doing a good job, this third finger is lying down across the 4th string, killing it, so that you have more control over what you hit. That's our home chord position. Now to boogie with that, we need to come. Do you remember when we played an A, we came 2 frets higher than the first finger position to boogie. We're going to do the same thing in C, but 2 frets higher means the 12th fret of the 5th string. That is going to feel like quite a stretch at first, but it's a very, very important blues position when we want to play in keys other than A. So, take it slowly and carefully and have a go at holding down this shape and then beginning to boogie with the little finger out to the 12th fret. Notice that my thumb has dropped right down behind the neck, my wrist has rocked forward, and I'm making sure that I've got separation between all the fingers. That is crucial. If they're cramped together, you'll never get out to the 12th fret. Separation between all the fingers, and let that little finger reach out and get this. Or with our off-off, on-off pattern. There we are playing the boogie on the chord of C, and that is going to be our home chord for this tune. Now, we're about to learn a very, very important pattern in blues guitar, a way to play the 12-bar blues in any key. What I mean by that will become much clearer in later lessons. But right now, remember this pattern. The home chord, the first chord in the 12-bar blues, the equivalent of the A chord in the key we've played so far, is the shape we just looked at. The next chord, which is an F chord, you can see F written on your tab, and it's the equivalent of the D chord in the key we've played up to now, lives here. Bring this shape that you're already pressing down up 1 string set. Remember, up means towards the floor. You're now on the 5th and 4th strings. And the boogie note would be on the 4th string. That's the chord of F. And it's the second chord in the 3 chords that we need to play a 12-bar blues. And the third chord, which is shown as G on your tab, it's the chord of G as far as we're concerned for now, is the same shape you've got already, the F shape, moved up 2 frets. To your right, if you're a right-handed guitarist. Frets 10 and 12. And we'll boogie all the way up to fret 14. Those are the 3 chords you need to play the blues in C, to play a blues rhythm pattern in C. And that pattern is crucial. Home chord position on the 6th string, with the index finger on the 6th string. Second chord of the 3, same shape but the index finger on the 5th string. And the third chord of the 3 takes the 5th string shape and moves it up 2 frets. That pattern, that collection of shapes in that order, is crucial for you to learn. By learning that, you will be able to play a rhythm part over any blues track as long as you know what key it's in. Right now we can't, but we're going to learn how we do that in the future. But it will involve simply moving that group of shapes into different places on the neck. In C, we're going to play a 12-bar blues in C right now. The 12-bar blues structure is the same as it ever was. First chord for 4 bars. Third bar, 3, 4th bar. Now the second chord. Back to the first chord. Now the third chord coming up. Back to the second chord. And back to the first chord. And the third chord. And round we would go again. Now, I'm sure that's sounding extremely familiar to you. It sounds exactly like the blues pattern that we played when we were playing in the key of A, but it's now in a different key. It's going to take you a little while to get your fretting hand used to that new shape, and it'll feel like quite a stretch as you stretch out here. See the separation of the fingers? Notice that the thumb has disappeared behind the neck, the wrist has come forward. That's the key to that shape. But it'll take a little while. Don't expect to get that straight away. When you are ready, and you feel that you've got it, stick on the jam track Shuffle Horns in C. That is, surprisingly, exactly the same jam track shuffle horns that we played earlier on, but now we're in the key of C. And see if you can play along with the boogie pattern in these new shapes. Stop it at that point. The jam track will carry on. Well, we covered a lot of ground in this lesson. You've learned to play the blues boogie pattern faster in the key of A, and then you've learnt the pattern that's required to play the 12-bar blues in another key, and the example we used was the key of C, and you've practiced a fast up-tempo blues in the key of C. If you've mastered all that material, you're doing great so far, and you're ready to check into the next lesson.